You're listening to Redman in the House. Hey, it's a podcast.
Hey, welcome back to Redman in the House. Hey, it's a podcast. Hey, we're here celebrating the Memorial Day weekend. Of course, at our favorite spot. What better place to celebrate Memorial Day than here at the VFW 7570 Harrison, Ohio?
Can't think any better. I can't do it.
Such a great place, such tremendous efforts, dedication towards all of our great veterans, and really, what this holiday is about. Redman, it does kick off summer. It is a kind of a celebration, but at its heart, what is it really about?
Well, Memorial Day, is remembering. It's kind of like our mini celebration, what we're doing for the racers. It's a memory of the people that have sacrificed for our great country, and some of them get the ultimate sacrifice. And it's a way to reflect and visit the cemetery if you can. Like tomorrow, we have a big Memorial Day parade here in Harrison, and we all get in it and go up to the cemetery and do a dedication and put wreaths out, and stuff. And it's quite a moving experience. It's we should always go and remember. I mean, there's a lot of people. Say your neighbor you didn't know for years. Might be the guy laying there that sacrificed it all to be to help us have our great country. And there's just so many folks that have been dedicated to this that I don't know the words. Sometimes are hard to explain to everything you want to say.
I think one of the things that is so important about it is to truly appreciate where you're at and to make the most of where you're going, especially as a country, but each down to every individual is to know the history, know how you got here, who paved that path, made it possible. That's what Memorial, it's sure, yeah, a big part of it is a celebration of everything that is great in America. The grill outs of the pools across the country are opening, the great sport of racing the Indy 500, kind of kicking off that summer season. But it's all about, as you said, remembering those that served and those that ultimately sacrificed everything so that we could be the greatest nation, just not in existence today, but that's ever existed.
Yes, and it's like you say, it's a great country, and we get into so many arguments and the politics and different things that people get all wound up about, and it's like, let it go for at
You know
least
what?
a day.
I want to count it. I was thinking about this morning. We regularly hear that our country's never been so divided.
Right.
First, I would say learn your history because that's we've always had divide there. But I do think now when you say we're divided, it's because there is an opportunity for more individuals. I don't care if it's your age, your race, your lifestyle, your religion. There is a more of an opportunity for everyone to express their personalities, their opinions. So with great divide, to me brings divided is what makes us so amazingly united. It is what the United States truly stands for, is that everyone has a voice and he can put it out there.
Well, think about it. What's great idea? Somebody's different from somebody else. If we all follow around like sheep, what do we do? To me, it's like maybe you disagree with what the color of a building should be, but maybe give it a different look and go, you know what? That's not so bad after all. And I think that's what people got to do. We got to start kind of talking and communicating. Right now, we're not. We're kind of more into a hate and embitterment thing, and it's very disappointing. That's what I tell people all the time. What makes racing so great? You go to the racetrack, you get away, you walk inside that gate. Whatever's outside, it's out there. You don't even look at it. You go in there and say, "Man, what's some race cars here today, aren't there?" And that's what makes it so unique. And a lot of the racetracks are doing things that for Memorial Day, like you say, the Indy 500. I know Norwalk does a big show for Memorial Day to celebrate. 4th of July, we do celebrating 250 years of this country, and another big milestone for this country. And I mean, it's just, I just wish people would relax a little. We all get so wound up and uptight about things. I know I used to. It comes with the red hair, I used to tell them. And of course, it's not so red anymore. So, but yeah, it's just, we should take a day and relax.
When you lost the red, you gained the wisdom. That's what you have now. It's the color of wisdom. That's what we've got there. But as you said, though, Bill, it's have communication, have conversations, but it's also important to listen. And if someone has a different view, a different stance than yours, I always like to believe I lean a little more right. I'll run that right lane.
Right.
But, I got to appreciate and respect the opinions of that in the left lane and got to believe that in their own way, they truly do want what's best for this country. We just
Right.
have different viewpoints, different ways of getting there. And again, that's what makes America so great. You made like a perfect comparison to the race game, to the race life. Um, Being so heavily involved in it all these years, the few years that I've been there, you can really see the patriotism,
Oh
the
yeah.
proud patriots involved in racing. Can you share some of your memories? I know you got a story time thing, Sam, you want to talk about. Could you tie
Yeah.
anything there, maybe with
Well,
America racing and that pride that comes together?
well, how about a news story? We are going to sponsor Mad Magazine, and
Wow.
she is going to be, she gets different costumes for every
Mm-hmm.
time she backs her driver up, and I got talking to her about it, and I said, how about something patriotic? And she said, oh, that's great. So we're going to do 5 events with her, and she's going to be sponsored by us, more or less, the Harrison
Well, I'd
VFW
say,
and
yeah, it's
veterans.
the VFW 7570 Harrison, Ohio Stop Down Show. Your support, their support, the race game, and having
Oh
Maxine,
yeah.
who has thousands and thousands of
Oh,
followers
followers.
out
Oh
there.
yeah.
What a great partnership.
And an ambassador, she's starting a new program of where you can be in her pit crew, thing I watched. And she sent a thing out about this deal with us backing her. And I tell you what, you ought to see the veterans on there that are really thanking us for thinking of that and thanking them, to be doing something patriotic and I just come to me in a dream, and I thought, what a better way? She's backing up a car, and if she's into red, white, and blue, or however she does her costumes, and then when she's talking, she'll be getting interviewed. She'll be telling them about us, helping her, and maybe what veterans mean to her, different things. And she's a true ambassador. She's got the gift of gab. Sorry, Max, but she is good.
No, she knows it. She knows it. Believe me, I've had plenty of
Oh yeah.
conversations with her.
And she's so personable. And like I said, kid stuff. She was telling me, like with the kids things, they're trying to they give kids things, to
Mhm.
make the kids involved at the racetrack besides just all adults all the time. So, yeah, we're getting in that. We're trying to do a thing. Well, another thing I'm doing is Friday night, we're going down to Lawrenceburg Speedway, and Kyle Larson's High Limit Series is there. And they have an angel donor program to where, like, eyes, heart,
Mhm.
whatever, maybe donation. Well, the driver that follows the series with them, angel donor, donates $1,500 to their charity,
Wow.
whatever
Okay.
their favorite charity is. Well, I come up with a brainstorm and reached out to them. We're going to match it Friday night.
Wow.
So
That's
the
again
drive,
VFW
oh
five
yes,
70 Harrison. I'm going to
yes,
match that down at the round track.
mm-hmm. And it's going to be like, instead of 1,500, it'll be $3,000 total to them to send to the charity of their choice.
What a great participation. A
Yes,
great
and get
winner
the word
circle to
out
be a
what
part
veterans
of.
are. My old line is, just because we don't wear the uniform doesn't mean we stop serving the country, and that's what we do.
I
We
do love
help.
that.
We had, last couple of weeks we had a saddle my bike run here, and we helped a little girl out that was going through some experiences. And the week before was, I can't say that cancer. We mentioned it on another show, but the kids' car show was off the charts. You couldn't move at this place. Cars,
Wow.
people. It was really something neat to see. And we got future things coming up. We got an angel baby ride coming up. We got other ones coming up, Breast Fest for the ladies, which is one of the biggest cancer raising benefits around. There could be up to 600 bikes here in one day. It's for breast awareness. And they usually have a couple women recipients that are, they acknowledge and stuff. And that's what we do. We help family, communities, charities, veterans. We do all kinds of veteran stuff. We send to police officers, fallen police officers, and firemen. It's just a great deal that we help when we can.
Absolutely. Always giving back, but always a good time as well as we're sitting recording this afternoon, Memorial Day weekend here at the VFW 7570. We're at the Cabana area here.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Indy 500 on. Later today, they're introducing their first bike and Jeep day or
Yes.
afternoon. We got live
Mm-hmm.
music. Always Sunday fun days. We got some smoked eats.
Mm-hmm.
Always something going on. Make sure you give them a follow on Facebook. We share all their content here on our page. But it's about memorial. It's
Right.
about remembrance, about honoring those fallen soldiers. But yeah, as we're going to close up the show as we regularly do, we do our little bit of honoring those unsung heroes of drag racing. But I know there's some other that you want to recognize before we get to some of those individuals. You got some teams and some couples and
Oh
things like
yeah,
that.
well this year I we started the teams out, a week or two ago. This week I've got the Ramchargers. A lot of folks might remember the Ramchargers. They start in the early '60s when the performance cars
Oh,
coming out.
okay, Ramchargers.
Yes,
Okay, I thought you were
Ramchargers.
talking about those football teams
No,
from out
not them
west.
Chargers. No,
Hey, the
no,
Rams.
not the combination. Now, this was a Ram Chargers team, basically out of Michigan at the time, and they sponsored cars. They had a funny car, top fuel car, and they had early years when they first got involved with stockers like the '62 and '63 Dodges and Plymouth. And then later on, they sponsored three super stockers, which I knew two of them. The third one I can't remember. We'll have pictures on it later somewhere. But there was two Hemi Barracudas, and then there was a Duster that ran, and the Duster was a 340 car, a guy named Ted Flack drove, and which was a neat car, and he won a lot of races. Ted was a stout driver, and then another fabulous driver we lost later on in life was Dean Necropolis. He was, if when it came to Hemi Cudas, those 71 cars, oh my God, Dean was one of the bad boys in the country, and he used to run against some good guys. We'll have this picture later on from Edgewater, Gene Boitnott, who had one at one time, and then Chuck Little. And but Dean would kind of still have the stout hand, and also a boy out of Indiana, Roger England. So there was a
Wow,
lot of
a
those
lot of them that were kind of
Hemi-Cudas.
on this team here.
Oh yeah, around Division III, the Hemi-Cuda was stout, but Dean was kind of the premier of the crop. And then there was a Hemi-Cuda that had a stick in it. He ran super stock D stick, and I can't remember that driver. Some of the boys in Michigan would, but yeah, the Ram Chargers were stout. They ran for a lot of years, and then they kind of when some of them started fading out, But it was a great team. Leroy Goldstein, I think was his name, was a bad, funny car, top fuel driver for him, and yeah, it was a great team.
But let me ask you, some of the teams here, as we're kind of highlighting some of those great ones that you remember.
Mhm.
How do these teams come together? I'm sure there's different ways. I'm sure there's maybe through some camaraderie, finding sponsors, things like that. But what have you seen those successful ones, to get that stick together, to get their names out there?
Well, I think they know each other. Like some of them, might be like the Ram Chargers, probably out of the automotive industry in Michigan at the time. But like when we were talking riding decal, they were all buddies and different ones. And say you got a company and you might go out here and you might look like that dude's pretty bad. I think I'll go over and talk to him, and hey, how'd you like to run on my team? We're going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to sponsor you, give you this, this, and this, and so that's how they get involved. And then of course there was a lot of corporations had teams. Like I say, you've got the Ram Chargers. We talked about Castrol a couple of weeks ago. That was a bad team. Had a lot. The oil company sponsored, and was a great team. And there'll be some more when we go on down through the season. But yeah, team things were great in the time back in the when I first started going to Indy. You had like Dick Landy had a team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were all running Sportsman. It was actually before Pro Stock come out, so they were all running uh, sponsor cars by say Dick Landy. He'd have 4 or 5 cars with different drivers. Ronnie Socks, him and Martin, they had numerous drivers. McCandless, God, I can't think of the other guy's name that drove for them, but they had different drivers that drove, and of course, it said Sox and Martin on it, but they had other drivers, and they had teams. They'd have a ramp truck with a trailer behind it. They'd be hauling 2 at a time, and they'd be 2 of them rigs, so they'd be 4 cars on 2 rigs, and it was wild to watch them come in when they come in as a team. And of course, that's when
I
the
think that would be a cool visual. The whole team kind of coming in together. They're representing. Here
oh yeah,
comes Team Ram Charger. And it gets people excited about that.
oh yeah,
Or if they're set up in the pits. Because one of the great things about drag racing, every ticket's a pit pass. You
mm-hmm.
get in there, you mingle, you get right up close with them, and now you got this whole block that they're right there.
Oh yeah, and it's like I say, you had them Ford, Mustangs. When all the muscle cars come out, all 3 corporations were having. Chevrolet lacked a little bit, I believe. I can't remember a lot of teams. There was a couple, but Ford and Mopar definitely went out in the team situation. They were wanting to dominate, and then of course Chevrolet had Grumpy Jenkins and Wally Booth, a few guys that drove singular or their own deal, and were just a stout. They didn't spread out to have 4 or 5 cars like these guys did. But then the manufacturers was backing these guys too at the time. But yeah, it was great, man, to watch them come in, all parked together. God, they have a car in about every class there was. You
That's
go,
kind of
wow.
cool. You have that representation, and then
Oh yeah, it was great. I'll tell you them. I got to see, like I say, Lanny and Sox's team. One year I went to Indy. I gotta believe it was the year that Gartletch and them boycotted. It was 72, 3, maybe 71, 72, I believe. And I went up, there was about 1,500 cars there at Indy.
wow.
Biggest crowd they'd ever had. And there wasn't a lot of the high dollar pros because it was a situation on. Gartletch would put a race on, and a lot of the big shots went to that. But there was so many good sportsman racers. And like I say, it was before pro stock really took off. And so you had all the good sportsman racers back then racing, and it was neat to see.
Well,
So,
you get with these teams, they're kind of like one big family.
mm-hmm,
Well, of course, with a family, you need a mom and pops.
mm-hmm,
You need a husband, wife.
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some of your favorite
Oh,
couples
husband
that
and
ran. How
wife.
about that
Well,
for a transition there, bud?
all right. Well, I got a couple for you. How about Bo Butner and Randy Lynn? Butner. Bo, he's pro stock. He's this, he's that. He's run about every class there is, except I think Top Fuel and Funny Car. She has run everything. Super Street Up, Super Gas, Super Comp. She's run stock. I don't know if she's been a super stock or she might have been. She was the first gal in the Mountain Motor Pro Stock to run
Wow.
a sub 4 record run. And,
Whoa.
oh yeah, she was stout. And Randy Lynn's she's a tough cat. She come up through the junior ranks, and they go all over. I got to see him out St. Louis here a few weeks ago when I worked that race, and they're still a bad couple. You pull up beside them, you better have your game on because they're tough. The other couple I got is Mike and Paula Cotton. They're out of the Oklahoma originally. They got property in Arizona, so they split time. Mike, he's they're Mopar people. He's got a Barracuda runs super stock J automatic stout car, and they got a Duster that runs stock like that stock automatic. And she's got a car. She had a Duster, and Paula for years she didn't drive, and then she got driving, and they had matching Dusters, and they were kind of neat, and they were green, and they're just a great friendly couple. I mean, I've met them years ago at the Points meet in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and then it just kept growing everywhere I went. And I got to see them last year when I did some help at Columbus. They were there, got to talk to them, and great people. When I go west a lot, you'd see them. Indy's probably as far as they come is Indy, but they have been to Gainesville, different places, but not
Very cool.
regularly, you know. So that's a couple of the couples this week that's been really, really good, really good.
Very cool. Well, it is a Sunday fun day. We're sitting at the FW 7570 waiting for those bikes and Jeeps to show up here a little bit later. We have a great afternoon. Looks like we're going to get a break in this weather. Hey, what would it be a Sunday fun day without a nice cruise?
I know.
How about a cruise down memory lane?
Oh my God, you're so good at your terminology, brother. Well, this first car is a '65 Dodge, and it was a bad car. I don't know who owned it. Somebody might know it. Ran B stock automatic, so it was healthy. I remember taking a picture of it. It was a great car. Um, like I say, I don't have much information on it, but he ran a few, times down to Edgewater. And again, if you're looking at pictures, look at the people
I was just
behind
going to
you.
say, look at that crowd. They
I'm
were
telling you,
packing them in.
oh yeah, and you figure you didn't have funny
Looks
cars
like the
back
trees
then.
are kind of filling in.
Mhm.
What are you, like spring, fall?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, springtime of the year. And then this next photo is an Anglia, which is a guy named Lloyd Huff. And Lloyd was stout and A gas. He had a Willys we showed earlier, which Dean Minkin eventually got his hands on, and Lloyd used to kind of dominate with. And then when the Anglia became the newer body style per se, aerodynamic, whatever it was, he built one of them, and he ran 4 speeds in his, and he was stout. Lloyd ran a lot of races, won a lot of money at Edgewater, and as Edgewater progressed on, I don't know how old Lloyd was. I never really knew him personally, but he ran for years there, and then he kind of, I guess retirement or finally comes to an end, whatever it is. But Lloyd was a stout racer in that Willys and that Anglia. So that's a couple of them this week. Like you say, you see the old pictures now, like where Lloyd's car is would be like where a water box is to this day. So you see, they don't do no water burnouts back
No.
then. They had the old hard slicks and everything. So yeah, it was neat as hell. And then it was fun. They were great days.
Well, just looking at two great crowds in each of those photos
Oh
there.
yeah.
Another awesome cruise down memory lane. Here we are again here celebrating Memorial Day weekend. All the amazing festivities that are going around every little city. That red, white, and blue is what that celebration of Memorial for those that gave all the great festivals, the cookouts, the coming together. But each and every week, one of the things that we really, really love, and I know that it truly means a lot to you, is a little shout out and some great little stories about those unsung heroes of drag racing, people that had great impact in your life,
Hmm.
and you really want to share their contributions. We talked earlier about if you really want to understand where you're at and where you're going, you got to know where we all came from.
Right, right.
And that is our little honor ceremony that we close each show with.
Right. Story time is a new section I want to start it. And we'll probably jump around past in the middle of my life into the present day. I like to put a little shout out to some guys I work for
Yeah.
in pit control. A couple of the humorous guys I ever met in my life. One was a guy named Jack Moscow.
Real quick, explain pit control.
Pit control. Well, pit control is where we're the parkers. In other words, when you come in with your rig, we'll ask you what class you're in, and then we have
That's what you were just doing in St. Louis.
right.
Okay.
And there's a group of guys, and each guy, well, some of each guy had different classes. Like say, you might have comp eliminator. That's all you got to handle. Another guy's got alcohol, and then like me and a couple other guys, we had all the sportsmen because there's so many more of them. The 4 classes, 5 classes we had. And a guy, Jack Moscow, like I said, hopefully a lot of people watch. Jack was a character. He was from the East Coast, had the brogue and everything. He drove a black Trans Am. He had I don't think it was a Smokey and the Bandit, but it was black. And he had a buddy, oh God, Tim. I'm trying to think of Tim's last name. He ran a chain of laundromats down in Florida. And these two characters ran together. They were so much fun. Well, one time, Jack's using one of the porty potties, right? But old Lex Duda slips up behind him, lifts up the trap door, throws a firecracker in there. A little one. And Jack,
Hot seat.
oh yeah,
Hot
Jack come out
seat.
there screaming and hollering and carrying on and calling people a few choice names we can't say. And but you could pull a
Well,
prank on Jack and
He
Tim.
turned
They
it
were
in. He turned it
characters.
into a firecrapper.
Oh yeah, they were so much fun. We'd laugh. They just ran together. We'd always look forward to seeing them. They were. I mean, you always got a good laugh out of them. Jack could take a guy. It's what we used to always tell a story to. Jack could take a guy, and he could put him in the middle of that river, and thinking it's the greatest pit spot in the world. Time he got on selling it to them, and they would believe it. They'd be right sitting there pit in the middle of that river, but he was that good at it. And but yeah, he was characters. We worked together for a lot of years in the early '80s together. Yeah, Atlanta and Englishtown. He came to Indy too. He'd been in Indy and Columbus back in the day when I did all them. So, yeah, great people. And I thought it would be a neat segment, a little story tell on different
I
people,
love it. That's good.
all in all, and their little jokes and things I've seen or done, and some of them might be close to X-rated, but we'll keep it as clean as we
We'll
can
keep it
because
as
they
family
are
friendly
humorous
as
stories, right?
possible.
Yeah, it's they're humorous when you think about them at the time. Some people be cringing, but you had to be there. That was the thing. So it was great. And then we're going to do the backup girls. Maybe next week we'll start throwing out a couple names, that I know started as backup girls, and then like you say, maybe eventually we can get Maxine when her not on such a busy schedule can get with us and be on here and tell you all. I watched one of her films on backup girls, and she explains it good how what to do and everything. So she's quite knowledgeable when it comes to that. So
I think what's so great about her and so many other great backup pros that they prove people wrong. They think they're just there as eye candy, like that. If they got there, they ultimately add to that show. It is entertainment. It takes some showmanship, but it's a tremendous purpose that they serve out there.
mhm.
And
And they all want to be a part of it. Working in pit control, a lot of times I'll be on my back in the day on a scooter. Or when I start being in the golf cart, you walk, drive by in pit area, and there's the wife or girlfriend sitting with a book in a lawn chair, and it might be 85 to 100 out, and you can tell she's not real happy, but she's reading her book, and this is what her man wants to do. He wants to race, and I want to be with him. But it's so neat when they become more involved. I'll tell a story on how women were really involved in when I first really got started, which was really neat. Um, we'll give you another little story before we end. Used to be all the wives would have a notebook, something like this, and they would record every pair of cars that ran in their husband or boyfriend's eliminator. So if
Huh.
you were in super stock, they recorded it. That was before you could get
Get your ticket
sheets,
booths and all that.
right? And later on, NHRA, started recording it, and in that way you could go buy it at the Racers for
When
Christ.
racing existed before AccuTime.
Oh yeah, it was like this was when they did the book. I mean, you had Jimmy Bridges' wife Debbie, Al Provost Bev, and Rock Running's wife Jenny. They'd all be sitting up there. It looked like a PTA or something, mothers group up there, and they would be recording every time. And then the husband, he would study it when he got back and see where he was on the qualifying sheet or who he might be having to worry about, say, in the same class,
Right.
what he'd have to pick up or do to make his car beat that guy. And yeah, it was fun to watch them. They all sit up there. Of course, Leo, my buddy announcer, he'd always give them a big shout out. I forget what he called them, something club up there where they recorded. But yeah, it was neat. It was a great time.
Very, very
Great
cool.
story.
Well, we got a couple names you want to recognize as well.
Not really, but we got. I think. Oh yeah, we didn't do our mini
Right.
celebration.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. We've got so excited here, so much stuff going on. My first guy I want to remember as probably one of the all-time bad racers there was, John Linkenfelder. My goodness, he won the U.S. Nationals, I believe, in '72, I think. He had a super stock Camaro, and he won. And John started progressing, getting better and better. He stepped up into another super stock Corvette later on. Then he got in the comp eliminator, and he was probably one of the baddest comp eliminator guys in the country for a lot of years. And then he got into pro stock truck, and he was a big name in pro stock truck. And then we lost him to an accident. Well, he lived for a while after the accident, but just things never really rebounded. He was in them all the new cars with all the turbos and everything. They had that series they had, and he had a bad wreck and got hurt bad. And John was just a dynamite guy, always grinning. He'd drive anything. Like I say, he drove pro stock too. He was in pro stock for a while, pretty stout. No funny car, no top fuel, but anything from pro stock down, he drove. And hell of a racer at the time. Second was another comp racer was bad. 7-time divisional champion. I can't remember. I think Jerry might have been.
Whoa, 7 times.
7 times.
7 times.
And then Jerry, I believe, might have been world once. His name's Jerry Arnold. He was out of Michigan up by Kalamazoo. Him and his wife, Sherry, always had yellow cars. Every car he had was yellow, except when back in the day when he had no stalker. But all his comp cars were yellow, and he ran the small V6, V whatever, where they made the motor, and he had an alder, and he also had a dragster. So if the alder got tagged, he could jump into the dragster, so he could switch cars. And Jerry, I mean, he was bad. And back in the day, Jay, the division director at the time, created a thing at the banquet where if you won the division, he had a bowling ball painted the color of your car, and he presented it to you at the banquet.
I like that.
So, like Jerry's was bright yellow,
Right.
and your car might be the color of your shirt. So, and thanks to Brian Olson and his son, they would do the painting of them. Well, after you got one bowling ball, you win 6 more times. Guess what you get? A bowling pin.
Oh,
painted that color.
okay.
So we said pretty soon, I don't know what we're going to do if he gets all 10 of them.
Start a bowling alley.
Yeah. But yeah, Jerry was good. Always laughing. Super nice guy. And Sherry, she was a sweetheart. She backed him up. That was one of the backup girls.
I like
She
that
was
story.
cute.
That's pretty good. How about let's save those last two? We're running a little long than we usually do. We're having so much fun here. We'll save those two. But a great episode here. We appreciate you sticking with us, kid. Celebrating Memorial Day weekend, such a tremendous holiday. Redman, before we sign off here, anything you'd like to?
Just take a minute if you can this weekend and just reflect. Think about how great our country really is through all the turmoil we're going through, all the different problems. But I can't think anywhere. I was in Vietnam, and trust me, Vietnam's nothing like this place. And it just, we got the greatest country going. We just got to get kind of mellowed out and start having fun. That's what's great about here.
Yeah.
You come in here, I tell you, leave your stuff out there at the gate. Come in and enjoy a beverage, listen to that band. Ain't that a great song? just kind of let it go for a while. Let all of it just flow off of you, and reflect about the folks that got us where we're at. Like we were talking earlier, history. You got to know history to know where we came from. And a lot of times history is distorted. I know it's not, I don't think it's required in high school anymore like it was when we were in, but really learn the history, because there's a lot of history that's being kept from us. So I know sometimes, and if you really stop and think, we got the best.
Well, when you were in high school, there's only like 50 years of history.
Yeah,
There's a lot more now.
yeah. Well, I used to tease. We went over for the honor flight the other night when the guys come back, guys and gals, and there was an old guy dressed there like Benjamin Franklin. And I said, "We got a guy at the VFW. He held the lamp for George Bush when he went across the Delaware." He looked at me like, "What?"
I believe it. Right? I believe it.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to say thank you to everybody. Keep sharing our content.
Yes.
Please, hey, we're looking for some sponsor, help, some partnership to get some merchandise out
Yes.
there. If you'd like to advertise your business, your brand, your organization, hit us up. We'll talk about those details. But until the next go around, you've been listening and watching Redman in the House. Hey, it's a podcast.